Hello, hello. It's so lovely to be with you today. Thank you so much for signing up to this series of three different videos on just how to start to understand the roots of your highly sensitive child's challenging behaviors and big feelings. Because once we understand what's going on psychologically, developmentally, even neurobiologically, um, then we can really, A, have a better understanding of how to get ourselves out of there, how to help our child out of their challenging behaviors and their big feelings. And also, because it's going to shift your perspective in some different ways, you're naturally going to start relating to your child differently, and they're going to feel the way that you're relating to them differently. And that is going to be a big part of what causes the changes. So, I've just gone straight in there, as I like to do. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenny Honeyben, and I am a parenting coach specializing in working with highly sensitive children and often highly sensitive families. There may be one or more highly sensitive people within your family group. So this is relevant and applicable to all of those people. I'm also a highly sensitive person myself, and I didn't realize that until about 15 years ago. And if you've been following along on Instagram, or maybe you're signed up to my newsletter list already, you will potentially have an understanding of the pickle that not understanding my high sensitivity got me into. Emotionally and physically, I was quite unwell for quite a substantial period of my life. And I attribute that in large part to not understanding and not living in line with my highly sensitive nature. So this is the first part of three videos, and this video is going to be looking at the concept of misbehavior. Let me just share my screen with you. Bear with me. Um, Excuse my messy desktop. Where is it? Here we go. So, why do highly sensitive children misbehave? Now, previously, not so much our generation, but before, people would have heard the word misbehave and equate and conflate it to a child being naughty. But what we know about the word misbehave, if we break it down, is that it is just like any other misword. So misspelled, misattuned, misdiagnosed. It means that someone has made an attempt at doing something and it hasn't quite worked, okay? And misbehavior is no different. Misbehavior is just a sign that your child is learning. They're trying out new behaviors. They're trying to meet their needs. They're trying to gain connection. They're trying to build relationships, and it doesn't always work. And you are their wise guide. You are the person that is going to help upskill them and show them how to shift that behavior to something that is either more appropriate or more supportive to them. But if we take misbehavior as it is, a child has made an attempt at behaving in some way and it's not quite hit the mark. There are three reasons behind this pretty much every time. So, number one is that the child is trying to fulfill a legitimate need. Now, as human beings, we all have a plethora of needs, okay? And children are no different. Children are just mini human beings and they have all the same needs as grown-ups, as us adults. So we're often quite good and quite aware at meeting our children's needs in terms of things like rest and sleep and food and connection and love and attunement, all of those things. Um, but we often forget the fact that they are just these mini humans. So things like more kind of nuanced things, like being respected or having autonomy or needing to play, or needing to explore, or needing to feel confident about something, needing to feel like they have achieved something, needing to be celebrated. All of those things are basic human needs. And often they are just trying to meet those through their misbehavior. So the next time your child, quote unquote, misbehaves, maybe think about what need might they have been trying to meet there? Was it for play? Was it for celebration? Was it for autonomy? Was it for some control and some power? Have a little think and see how you get on. The second reason is that children, because of the fact that their brains are very underdeveloped, and we'll go into this in much more detail in video 3, but because their brains are somewhat underdeveloped, they often don't remember the expectation in a situation, or they don't understand your reasoning behind it, and so they don't really think it matters hugely. Okay, when we understand the reason why someone is asking us to do something and it makes sense to us, we are much more likely to get on board with it. And we often think, particularly with our highly sensitive children, because often they're really bright and intellectually ahead of the game, we forget that they don't understand the meaning behind everything yet. They don't understand our intentions or why they might need to do something. So, my invitation here is to just pause and think about, have they forgotten the expectation here? Do I need to remind them of what the expectation is? Or do they not really understand why I'm asking them to do this, why it's important in this moment, or why it's important in general? And do I need to give them a little bit more information about why I'm asking them to do this or not do this? And number 3 is that your child has a backlog of unprocessed emotions that they're trying to resolve themselves. So, especially for our highly sensitive children, but all children, when they are in environments where there is not an attuned adult available to meet their frustrations, their embarrassment, their upset, their sad feelings, their anxious feelings, those feelings get squashed down into what I call their backpack, this metaphorical backpack. They're like rocks, okay? And they're going throughout their day, and if there's no one there to help them work through those feelings, that rock can't be processed. So it gets put in the backpack for later, and then something else happens, and all that feels a bit uncomfortable, but there's no time or there's no space to process that just now. So it's going in my backpack. And then by the time they get home, or they come into contact with somebody that they feel really safe and connected to, their little bodies, not consciously but subconsciously, start going, oh, okay, I can get rid of some of these rocks now. So some of the rocks start coming out, and not always in the most helpful or appropriate or timely ways, but they do start coming out. And our jobs as the big people in their lives is to help them to process that. And it's actually a really good thing, because the more that we allow them to unpack that backpack, the more settled and back to regulation their little system is going to be. So I hope that's given you, stop sharing my screen quickly. I hope that's given you a little bit more insight into the beginnings of the psychological aspects as to why your child might be misbehaving. I'd invite you now to sit down and think about maybe a recurring situation that keeps coming up for your child, and maybe journal or just think about which of those 3 reasons feels most true for your child. And it could be a combination of all 3, or it could be a combination of 1 or 2. And then how might you, with this new insight and new information, how might you approach that slightly differently? I'm going to really look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you have any questions at all, just email me. You can reply to this email. Take care. Bye.